This is Nick 06130601, and today I'm going to be speaking of another location on the National Register of Historic Places, and this place is located in East Bloomfield, New York, given the fitting name of East Bloomfield Historic District. So, in case you don't know, a historic district is unique in the sense that it can have multiple listings on the register, all the while being on the register itself. So, this historic district is on the register. The East Bloomfield Historic District has 49 different properties within its borders and a total of 90 different resources, and this means it can include residential, commercial, religious, and civic properties. So East Bloomfield was founded in 1789 as part of the Phelps and Gorham Purchase, and it was about a mile in length. So for anybody who doesn't know what the Phelps and Gorham Purchase is, I actually didn't know it either, but I looked it up, and it's actually pretty interesting. But pretty much it was the purchasing of what is today Western New York, and this was bought from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which consisted of about 6 million acres. And the Indians were involved. I forgot which group of them, but there was a whole bunch of the whole process went through. So as businesses grew and expanded throughout the town, the eastern area became known as the East Bloomfield Station, and because it had a railroad, and which was constructed in 1854, and it ran through the business district. So as I began my walk around East Bloomfield, I began at Elton Park, which is also on the historic register, and this is all within the historic district. So when I visited the park for the first time, one thing, as I'm sure many other people, is they were impressed by the Civil War monument, which is located practically in the center of the park. It has actually, but this park has more history than just as early as the late 1800s and early 1900s. There's actually documented events going back as far as 1669 when mass was said by Father Fremen, I believe it's pronounced, and this was actually in the Indian village, an Indian village at the time, which is really interesting to think. I mean, 200 years, it would have been 1889, and that was a long time ago. I'm always making connections like that. So the foundation of this park, though, was can be dated as 1847, when the square for the park itself was actually cleared out, so making room for it. And following the Civil War, that's what this monument is dedicated to. It was created, and it was honoring the 39 men from Bloomfield who died throughout the war. I thought it was really cool, and I didn't even realize it until I did a little bit more research, which is why I enjoy making these videos, because I learn more about the places I enjoy visiting anyways. But this monument is actually facing south, and it's as if it's gesturing that the north is ready to fend off any enemies that may make their way towards it. And the gazebo and the closest side to the cemetery was added in the 90s, and I really like it. It's pretty tiny, but it's really nice hangout. I mean, there's like a bench kind of going throughout the whole little thing, so you can sit there and bring a radio or just hang out and sit there. And the way I actually like this park a lot, because the way it's designed, it has streets on all four sides, as many parks I'm sure do, but the way it's laid out is, there's like the main road, but three pretty much side streets, which makes it, not like for like little kids, you don't have to worry about them running out if you keep a good eye on them. There's actually a few picnic tables placed throughout the park, so people can feel free to bring a lunch or just come and hang out with people, because I've seen all sorts of that when I've been there the several times I've have gone. And that's why so many community events occur here throughout the year, which is great to see, because I always like going to these small towns. So right next to Elton Park is the East Bloomfield Cemetery, which is placed on the National Register, or it's not placed on the National Historic Places. My bad. It actually is in the historic district, but the cemetery itself, I do not think is actually on it itself. And it seems like always, I did a little bit more research on this cemetery. There's actually an original cemetery, which is behind the historic district's building, and this was actually owned by a private landowner. And it wasn't until 2019 that the land was transferred to the Historical Society. And it's strange because it doesn't have any monuments or any headstones, because they were moved in 1837 when the town leaders realized the original graveyard reached capacity and they need to expand, which gave the reason to make this new cemetery. So the East Bloomfield Cemetery is not the oldest one you'll come across. You can go to Naples, which is not too far, and come across some older stuff. But still, it's a cool. You get a whole range, all the way to the 1800s, early 1800s, to modern stones, which is a big range. And one reason I enjoyed visiting this cemetery, and really the entire town of Bloomfield as a whole, is because the way it's designed, and there's houses and backyards kind of surrounding everything, and you can hear people mowing their lawns and playing with their kids in their backyards. And you just get that kind of genuine feel of a small town, which is I always like going to, as you can tell from previous videos. So with the cemetery, regardless if you're into history, why I like going here too is it has a great view. It's one of the higher points of the town, and it gives you a great view of all the distant farms in the miles away. Which I'm all about views, and that's the cemetery sure provides it. And the cemetery itself is not even too big, so you can kind of get a whole idea of what it's like, and still go across the span of 150 years. So between the Outland Park and the East Bloomfield Cemetery is the Old Town Hall, and I wasn't able to find a ton of information on this Old Town Hall, but all I could see, I'm basing it off of, is the fact that on its plaque it was mentioned the year 1842, so almost it's over 180 years old, or about almost 180 years old. And when this, obviously when the town has this much history in one little corner of it, it's bound to have it throughout its streets, and the East Bloomfield is no exception. We walked to a nearby gas station to get a Coke, but there was plenty of historic homes, great architecture to check out in the process, and it's especially this time of year, it's fun to see all the Christmas decorations and lights being put up in these houses, which already impressive houses with more accessories makes it all the more interesting to look at. And once heading back towards the park, we actually we passed by an old church, and I didn't even notice this until you wouldn't notice this unless you were walking, which is, at least that's what it was for me. I would have if we were driving, but like so many other places, this place is on the register, and this history can go back to actually as early as 1796. The original building for this church was completed in 1808, though the current building that's used today was dedicated in 1837. And while I didn't go inside the church, it does have some unique features, like an organ on the inside. And I'm going to wrap up here by talking about one more place that is on the historic and in National Register of Historic Places, and is also in the district. And this was the East Bloomfield Academy, which has been around since 1838. Currently, the building houses the East Bloomfield Historic Society, and there are thousands of items within the building. And while I was not able to go inside, I'm really hoping I can one day. The visiting hours, I think, are pretty limited right now due to the whole virus. But I'm really looking forward to when I do get the time, because even peeking through the windows, you can see that they do have a lot on display. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned a little bit, or at least even if you plan just on traveling and maybe in the Finger Lakes region or the Rochester area, you can always just check this little town out on the way. Maybe grab some lunch. There's actually a little diner-like place right outside Elton Park, so there's all sorts of stuff to get a bite from. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.